Good Friday afternoon to you. From wherever you're watching, we're glad you're with us. Hope you made GPS Tracking Academy earlier this morning, afternoon, again, depending upon your respective area codes. We're in the afternoon here at US Fleet Tracking Headquarters, and again, glad you're with us. It's the Drill Down Show, and today it's where in the world is our GPS tracker? We'll go into that. First, a little primer on how the show goes. We welcome you to make this a very interactive show. That chat box bottom of the screen will allow you to do so. Just as you'll see later, you can always chat during tech support opening hours into the tech support crew. And our tech support staff, a great one at that, operates here live from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. That's Central Time. Yep. And Jordan, the number?
Well, we also are there 9 a.m.
Saturday.
to 4 p.m. on Saturday. I wasn't going to let you skip that part because that's important, but it is 726-9900.
That's right, with a 405 area code.
Thank you. I skipped it. See,
hey,
this is why you do that. I don't.
We compliment each other.
We try.
It's the best we got around here. I don't know. Anyway, no, let's move on while we're behind. Wanted to tell you all the social media contacts are available, Facebook, Twitter. You can find out what's going on quite easily with the company there, new happenings, what it's like around US Fleet Tracking. It's always a great vibe, and you'll hear from Edwin and the crew who keep you up to date real well, Facebook and Twitter wise. And if you want to see archive shows, whether it be the drill downs at times or instructional videos or the GPS Tracking Academy show itself, you can do so by going to youtube.com/US Fleet Tracking and see the library of archive shows we have there. As well, the surveys help us a lot in figuring out how to architect the show, what you want in the show, and in effect, what you want in the company. As Jordan mentions, often some of your suggestions have turned into implementations with the company in our live GPS tracking system. So with that in mind, we're moving on to really one of the crux of the matters with US Fleet Tracking, and that would be the GPS tracking device. Of course, known as a location-based asset, does so much more, in US Fleet Tracking, really the pioneers of fast tracking, 10-second tracking. We want to give you an idea. Customers always wonder how difficult, how labor intensive to install. So Jordan is going to tell you about a few models of them. We'll have a few videos and some little hidden tips that might make your implementation a whole lot smoother.
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is actually unbox one of our devices. We're going to start with the Obd device, and this allows you to plug into the Obd port. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and box this up.
As if you're receiving it?
Exactly. This is like the first time I've got it. And the great thing about our company is we always make sure to provide you with lots of information. So it comes with a USFT Obd V3 install guide. And the great thing about this right here is this will tell you everything you need to know for what to do with your installation for your device. And it comes packaged with the device right there. So the awesome thing about this is when you take it out of the box, boom, everything you've got is right there in front of you. You've got the device, and you've got a little tip on how to use it. You'll notice on the Obd, it's got one side on it that has like a plug-in side, and I'll have Edwin zoom in here real quick so you can see this. Try to make it work.
Yep.
There we go. You'll see this little plug side of it right here. That's just going to plug straight into your Obd port, and Jeremy will show us a video kind of explaining that right away.
Right.
But this is probably the easiest device to install. And that's what's so great about the Obd device is that you just plug it in and you're good to go. So that's something that you can definitely use to your advantage. If you've got several vehicles in your fleet and you want to be able to move tracking units from vehicle to vehicle, that's one way to go for sure.
Any vehicle 22 years or so and younger is going to have that port.
That's
that you
absolutely
snap
correct. Yeah, and as long as it has that Obd port, you can always test it and work with the device, and you'll get your 10-second tracking, which is fantastic.
Yes, sir. All righty.
And I think we have a video of Jeremy where he's going to kind of break down and show you exactly what I'm talking about when I say plugging it into that Obd port.
That's the Obd first?
Right. Yeah, and because some people may not know where that is. So we'll let Jeremy show you right now exactly where to find those.
Take her away.
By far the easiest one of the units to install is going to be the OBDX5. Now the first thing you have to do in the vehicle is locate the port that is going to plug into this, And in all vehicles, they're going to be different, so that's what you want to find first before you do anything else. And what you're going to do is you're going to locate the OBD port in the vehicle. Every vehicle is going to be different. Some are hidden behind panels. Some may be accessible just underneath the dash. But what you're looking for is a connector that basically looks just like that. That will be secured to the bottom of the dash. Now in this vehicle, it's right here just below this knee bolster panel. And all you got to do is make sure first that the truck is off before you plug it in. Then once you locate your port, plug it in just like that. And it's just that simple. Back to you guys.
Thank you,
Alrighty.
Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy. And when we talk about an OBD, what would be a few of the best case scenarios for choosing the OBDs? And mind you, if we don't capture your particular scenario, you can always call tech support and say, which device would be best for me? But for instance, the OBD.
The thing about the OBD is it's a really, like Jeremy just showed you, super easy to install, very quick to utilize. So let's say you have a couple trucks similar to what Jeremy has, and you just need one tracking device because maybe you use a couple trucks, but only one of them's out at a time. And so you know you're going to have to move the device from one vehicle to another. Well, if you don't want to use covert tracking, which our PT device gets into in just a moment, maybe that's a better fit for your company to be able to quickly move one device from one place to the next. So a lot of times it comes down to personal preference, which we talked about a lot. But the OBD can really be beneficial whenever you're talking about moving it from one vehicle to another vehicle.
Because there is no hard wiring, quickly out, quickly in.
Exactly. You move in and out very quickly.
Very
the next
good.
thing I want to do is I want to unbox a PT.
Very good.
And then we'll talk about what is a PT versus what is a PT Pro. And we'll talk about that very briefly. Now, whenever you unbox a PT, the first thing you're going to notice, again, it's wonderful. I love our packaging because it's always the same, so you know exactly what you're getting, and it's great. The first thing you'll see here in this PT is you're going to see that it comes with the device, the charge cable, and everything you're going to need right away to use your device. So, for example, with the PT, we've got the charge adapter right here. It comes with the charge cable in the box as well, which is right there. And then your actual PT device. Now I'm going to take this out because I want to show you something very, very important about PTs.
And it's also very sleek.
Yeah,
So it
and if you
doesn't
can
take up
notice,
much
this one's
space.
already blinking, and that's because when I was shifting it around in the box, it woke it up and it started active, and it started updating, which is awesome. Your standard PT is going to come with a clip right here, and you can see that, just kind of clips on. And behind that is where your battery is located. Now on the side here is where you can charge the actual device itself, but this smooth side that has this little like lifted lip, if you can just make that out, that is where you're going to want to place the signal. So if you're, for example, going to have a PT on the top of a dash, for example, you're going to want to make sure that this smooth lip side is facing upright on top of the dash. And the reason why is because the antenna is shooting it out that direction, and it'll maximize your tracking. Now, again, you can see that kind of smooth lip side right there. That'll need to be face up if you were to run this on top of a dash.
Because, of course, you don't want any metallic structure or anything in the
Absolutely.
way of it and the satellite pickup.
Right. Now, this is your basic PT kit. Now, what makes a PT Pro kit a little bit different, I'll show you right here. Now, on your standard PT, you're going to get 8 to 10 hours typically of drive time for updates, okay? Well, now your PT Pro kit comes with the Pelican case, which is the magnetic case. Set that aside. And it also comes with the extended battery.
Extended battery,
Now,
the
this case is fantastic for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's a very, very durable case, and it has this magnet on the bottom of it. So when you're placing it on a vehicle and you put it underneath the vehicle, the magnet is very, very strong. And so it's very difficult. You have to really try to work it to pull it off of the bottom of the vehicle. Now again, what we're going to show you here, when you're putting this inside this case, you want to make sure the smooth lip side is up, because when you close the device in here and you set it underneath the vehicle, that signal then bounces off the road and then bounces up out into the sky, so you're maximizing how many satellites you can get.
Okay, and as we've talked in satellite coverage, when you see upwards of 4, you've usually got a good signal, but we really like to see, and you can see that info just by cursoring over the device, upwards of 6 or 7 on to 12 you'll see at times, and that's just that much more pinpoint accuracy.
What's really, really cool is with our new model of PTs that we have, I've seen up to 14, 16 satellites on some scenarios.
Okay.
And it's just really awesome to see just how great this new equipment that we're putting out there is.
And to speak to that point, you have probably received emails talking about the 3G switchover as AT&T retires the 2G tower. So Jordan, will you mention any kind of protocol for our customers?
Just the big thing to remember is if you're getting a notice on your screen whenever you log in to check your devices, if you're noticing a 2G information, if you will, just go ahead and give us a call and we can check your account and make sure you don't have any of that old 2G hardware, because the sundown program for AT&T has started, which means that they're no longer maintaining and working on those 2G towers. Why that's important for you is because we want to make sure that you never have any outages.
Right.
A lot of times in the northern part of the United States, I know for sure, like in Boston, they just lost most of their 2G network. So a lot of people in Boston are having 2G issues, and we don't want any of our customers to have any of those problems. So if you're curious if maybe you have a 2G, you can always just contact us at our tech support or call in and talk to our specialists that are dealing with this, and we can help you and make sure that you're good to go and you never have any loss of tracking or missing information.
Right, by having that device number to give our tech support specialist, they'll be able to find out all the color commentary on your account.
Absolutely. And one last thing I want to talk about really on PTs before we have Jeremy show you some placement videos. If you notice here, I know the tech support guys are going to love this because this used to be one of our big issues in tech support. You'll see here that again the smooth shiny side is going to be face up, and the battery is going to be to the back of the battery on the PT Pro. And why this is important is if you place it like this, you're going to have issues with it not closing properly, as well as you're trying to bounce that signal now through the battery itself, and it will distort the signal. So it's very important that you put this battery back to the battery whenever you're putting it smooth shiny side face up. Very important to make sure you're getting accurate tracking information.
And a good safety
magnet just pulled it through the glass.
My gosh. You'll know if you didn't put it in right, because as you said, it'll be trouble closing.
Right, because if you notice, whenever
that magnet will, yes.
it's gonna click on there, and
when Jordan says you now have to try, we might have to get the entire production crew over here to.
I mean, it's a very, very strong magnet. You know, it's. I don't even want to do it again because it's going to break the glass.
All righty, Jeremy, you've got the PT Pro, I think, example to show us now. Can we see that?
Oh, did we lose? Jeremy, still there?
Thanks, guys.
All right.
The most commonly asked question that we get is placement of the PT Pro. A couple things you need to check on first. Make sure that the unit inside is actually placed correctly, because sometimes people get in a hurry and will actually flip it upside down. That will interfere with how it's going to work properly. So what you want to make sure is that this flat, smooth side is facing up towards the lid. Simply put it back in, close it, and what we're looking for is a quick place to place it under the frame. Most vehicles have a frame support. Once you find a flat spot, attach it, let it go. It's that simple. Back to the studio.
Next in line is the AT.
Yes, one of our hardwired devices.
Popular one.
Now, hardwired devices are a little bit different before. We've touched on OBDs, which are just plug in and play and you're good to go. We've talked about PTs where you use the magnetic case, where you can put it on the dash, whatever you're trying to use the tracking for. Now, those are all your fast, quick installs. These hardwired devices are going to be a little bit more complicated with the install, but that's not a bad thing in this scenario. The great thing about these is you can put them in the trucks, and it's very difficult for anyone to see the tracking unit. It's very difficult to tamper, any type of issue like that. The other great thing about it, when you have a hardwired device, you'll get to know ignition. So you'll know exactly when the vehicle is turned on and off, because you're going to have to attach it to 3 different areas. And so when you're doing this, you're getting extremely accurate information about the vehicle as well as the tracker, because everything is hardwired in. Another great thing about these is your power rating should always be at 100% whenever you've got a hardwired device, because it's getting full power.
Sure.
So if you set up a power alert, for example, on our alert system for 90% power, and it ever triggers, then you know that a wire has gotten loose, and so you can know well before there's an issue that you need to examine the wiring the next time you get a chance.
To see if something's come loose. Probably so, because as you say, it should always be at 100 due to the hardwired nature.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and the hardwired devices just have a lot of really unique features, and where you can install them, again, depending on the type of device. I know with ATs, you're going to want to do it inside the dash. With NTs, you can actually get an external antenna option, and so you can put it in the dash and then run the antenna up to the window. Some of the more fancy vehicles, your Mercedes, your BMWs, they have materials in the dash that will actually block the signal from getting out. So that's when you're going to need those NTs and things like that.
Okay, very good.
And I think Jeremy's got a video for the next install, is that right?
Do we have an AT video installation?
Yes, we
Let's
do.
see, all righty.
A couple placements for the ATX5, the ATX5 Pro, and the NTX5. In most vehicles, it will be a basic system setup. So what you're going to look for is the size of the box and the placement. In most vehicles, you will be able to place them behind the instrument cluster, which is the highest point of the dash, and make sure that they are facing up. Then all you have to do is basically drop your wires down to make up your connections at the according wires underneath the dash for the key, which is your 12-volt constant, and your ignition on. Now the units with the antenna separate, like the NTX5, you can still place the antenna up underneath the dash, this side up, because it does matter. A lot of people will put it upside down, but it does say this side up. As long as this side's facing up, you should be fine. You can place it on the glass if you would like to, but most people want to make sure that it's hidden. So as long as it's underneath plastic, it won't interfere with the signal quality. And then you can take the box itself and place it down here below underneath the steering column and make up all the connections and terminations and hide the box down below. These panels on most cars will come off, so it allows you access in behind here to make your connections for your constant, your ignition, and ground to chassis and hide all the wires. Back to you in the studio.
Key might be in deciding what type unit is right for you. Anything from size to covertness and how important that is, or portability, all right?
Absolutely. The big thing to recognize, talk with our sales staff. Our sales staff is extremely knowledgeable, and they can really work with you and make sure that you're getting the right device for the right need that you have. For example, I just finished a situation with working with a sales rep and with a customer. They have a bunch of snow plows up north, and they're getting ready, gearing up for the winter months. So they do all their prep work now while they still can. Well, these snow, plows, typically you would look at it and you would say, okay, what kind of device do you guys need? And the specific need that they had was AT Pros. And the reason being, they need to put it inside and they need it to be very durable. These vehicles see a lot of wear and tear. They see a lot of, because of the snow, water gets inside everywhere. You know what I mean? They do a lot of rugged, hard work. Well, the AT Pro is probably our most durable device as far as hardware go. It's extremely weather resistant, and it's a great durable device for them. So we wanted to make sure that we get the right device to the right person for what they need.
Very good. Makes a lot of sense, and you're never in the dark with our tech support crew. Very knowledgeable. They just speak to your scenario in a way you can understand, and they are here, as we all are, to facilitate your both enjoyment and your profitability, the impact you get from our live GPS tracking.
Absolutely. And one last thing real quick about placement. On your PTs, towards the rear of the vehicle, I just thought of this right before we were getting ready to go there.
Good point.
The rear of the vehicle is often a better placement for the PT device, and that just has to do with the fact that when the signal is bouncing off of the road, the least amount of distance it needs to bounce in order to get back up to the sky, more satellites you're going to get. If you put it closer to the front, it's going to try to, or I'm sorry, closer to the center of the vehicle, it has to bounce through a lot more places in order to get there. So very front or very rear, either of those options are going to be better options than the center of the vehicle.
It's a cleaner route for the signal to travel.
Absolutely. And you'll see those PT Pros being used by law enforcement, private investigations, things like that. That's where that'll come in handy quite a bit.
Okay, very good. Jordan, thank you very much as always, our resident expert, Jordan Knutson. Want to remind you about tech support. Once again, you have all that information populating our website, fleettracking.com. But there you are, 405-726-9900, the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time, Mondays through Fridays, and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. We invite you to find us on Twitter, Facebook. Great way to find out what's going on inside the company at any given moment. Unless you want to just call us and say, what's going on? You want to see archived shows, can do that too. YouTube.com/US Fleet Tracking. And we would appreciate you taking just a few moments to fill out those surveys. So on this Friday, we wish all the Jewish population a Happy New Year, by the way, while we're here. And wish you all a wonderful weekend. For Megan at Chat and Edwin running all the buttons, I'm Mark, and we thank you for being a very, very valued US Fleet Tracking customer or one in the future, and wish you a great weekend. We'll see you in 2 weeks.